And welcome to the Breakin Broncos podcast. I am your host, Dan Wetstein. In the nick of time, Dylan Miles sliding in there for y'all. We are here again to talk about your Denver Broncos. Got a lot on the plate today. Talking about Phillip Lindsay and a possible reunion, the 5 finalists for the Broncos potential owners, why you should still tune in on Thursday even though the Broncos don't have a first-round pick, and our final full first-round mock draft for y'all to get y'all primed for prime time on Thursday night. So, Dylan, you look a little lost today.
Sorry, I was reading the text.
You're all right. You're all right. Well, let's go ahead and let's jump in here. We got reports coming out of the Buff spring game where Phillip Lindsay told 9 News that he is open to a return. I have not seen any reports that indicate the Broncos are interested. Do you think they should be?
No. Let's leave it like that. No. You already got a strong running back that proved himself last year as a rookie. And in my opinion, who does everything way better than Phillip Lindsay does. He blocks better, runs harder, hits harder. As much as a feel-good story it was, right? And I love him, still do. It's just I don't think there's a reason for him to return.
I have one caveat. If they go through the draft and it doesn't fall the way they like and they don't get another running back, because I think they need at least one more running back, and it would preferably be a more lightning type back to Javonte Williams Thunder. So if they go through the draft, they don't end up taking a running back for whatever reason, they don't find any undrafted free agents that they like. If they could get him on a vet minimum, I'm not opposed to it. Now, would I say go out and give him a multi-year deal? I know. After the way that he was unable to break in on the Texans and the Dolphins. Had 2 of the weakest running back groups in the league, kind of gives you pause in thinking, what exactly does he have left in the tank? Did we already see the best of Phillip Lindsay? Have defenses found out a way to better attack him? Whatever the case may be, he has definitely slid backwards ever since that wrist injury that cost him the last couple of games here in Denver. So, like I said, if they can get him back on a veteran minimum deal after the draft and after undrafted free agency, and they just can't find that type of running back because the board doesn't fall that way, I'm not mad at it. But I don't want Peyton out there actively searching and getting into a bidding war, if there is a bidding war. I don't know who else would want the man at this point. Yeah. As long as they don't go crazy and give him a multi-year contract like they did with Melvin Gordon, I'm Gucci. But like Dylan said, don't actively run after him, and only if you've run out of every other option to get a guy on a rookie minimum contract, which is much cheaper than the veteran minimum, to go ahead and not eat up too much of that cap space, because you still want to have some cap space during the season for when injuries happen. and then you can go get him. And that honestly to me would be the perfect scenario. Say you go through training camp, Lord forbid, Mike Boone or one of these other guys gets hurt. Go ahead, snatch up a Phillip Lindsay. He knows the city. He's perfect in a zone blocking scheme. Why not at that point? But right now, the nostalgia is great. Like you said, the story's great, but y'all need to let go of it and realize this is a business and your personal feelings don't get considered. Sorry if that hurts your feelings, but that's just how it is.
It's just also there's no real need for him on the team right now.
Exactly. Like at this point, they just need like a fourth or fifth running back to fill out the roster. And that's not what Phillip Lindsay is going to be looking for. He is not going to look to be the third, fourth, or fifth option in any offense. He still has it in his mind, which is completely understandable. All athletes got an ego. You got to have an ego to be successful at the highest level. It's just how it has to work. So he's going to be looking for at least a number 2 job, if not a possible starting job. And honestly, the scenario I laid out earlier is going to be his best option, waiting until training camp starts, wait for people to start getting hurt, and he'll probably get an opportunity then because of his veteran leadership. He is great in the locker room. All of those things are still true. I just don't see the production on the field that warrants a major contract at this point, or probably ever.
And I mean, also
be a floater around the league.
Melvin Gordon's even still available, and at this point, I'd probably take Melvin Gordon over Phillip Lindsay. If you get him cheap, though, we've talked about this plenty of times.
Yes.
I don't see him coming back this year still, unless some, like you said, those things happen, and even if he falls through.
Yeah, exactly. So for all of you hoping and wishing to see Phillip Lindsay back, please don't hold your breath because it is very, very unlikely to happen. And I'm having some technical issues here with my earbud. Sorry, guys. I'm not picking in my ear. I promise I'm just trying to put something back in it. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and kill that. Next off, this is the fun part because we've been talking about how it seems like the league really wants to see a minority owner. Well, with these 5 finalists, it's very unlikely, guys. If y'all don't know who the finalists are for the Broncos potential owners, I will go ahead and read them off for you. Number 1, who put in the original bid that knocked the price up even higher than we thought possible, was Rob Walton, whose initial offer, his first offer, was over $4.5 billion.
At this point, just give it to him.
And all cash. He is the only guy here out of these 5 finalists that put up over $4.5 billion in cash because he's got it. All the rest of these guys, the most any of them are worth, and I put most because I'm not trying to disparage them, they're still billionaires, is $5.5 billion. And that person, let me get their name here real quick. I can't remember all these rich white folks. Joshua Harris. He is actually the controlling owner of both the 76ers and the New Jersey Devils, which, as we know from Stan Kroenke, if he wants to buy this team, he's going to have to give it off to a kid or sell those teams because the NFL does not allow you to own other franchises and other sports at all. It's your owner. You are the owner of an NFL team, and that's it.
And as Kroenke found the loophole.
Yeah. Rob Walton's brother-in-law, by the way, if y'all think about that, Rob Walton could be buying the Broncos, and his brother-in-law owns the LA Rams and technically owns the Avalanche and the Nuggets. By all technicality,
isn't the Avs in his wife's name?
No, the Avs and Nuggets are in his son's name.
Son's name, okay.
Yeah, in his son's name. It's all paperwork. We're not stupid here. He's running those franchises. It's just his son's name is on the paperwork to make the legalities work. And that's essentially what Joshua Harris would have to do if he wants to purchase the Broncos, is he's going to have to do some paperwork to put those other teams in another person's name. And his wealth is, like I said, the second highest at $5.5 billion, which is almost as much as Rob Walton put down in cash. Okay. That's just to tell y'all how insane this has gotten, that there's a billionaire that is giving the net worth of other billionaires to buy a team. Think about that, y'all. That is insane.
Crazy.
The next richest white guy is Todd Bowley. He I don't think he has any experience. Or no, my bad. I'm sorry. He does own 20% of the Los Angeles Dodgers, and he's part of the ownership group that has pushed them back into prominence by spending. So obviously, even though he wouldn't be the sole owner, because his net worth is $4.5 billion, which again is the offer that Rob Walton put in for the first offer. He obviously has to have some people that are in there with him to be able to even be in the final running. Like the fact that the band put up $4.5 billion and there's still four other people that are in the running tells you how insane the money is going to be on this deal. The last one is the only remaining minority owner available, and that is Byron Allen. He is the owner of a media or entertainment studios, which owns NBC Universal, the Weather Channel, Bain Capital, and the Blackstone Group. So he's a media mogul. Started off as a stand-up comedian. He actually debuted. This tells you how old this man is. He debuted on the late night show starring Johnny Carson. That's when
Carson.
he made.
Okay.
Yeah, Johnny Carson was the one that broke this man into media. That's how old this man and how long he's been around. So he's obviously a heavyweight. He is we'll say the least rich of all these guys. His net worth is around 450 million. Obviously still filthy rich, stupid rich. His great grandkids ain't got nothing to worry about, even if nobody else makes a dollar moving forward. But again, that is only a fraction of the cash offer that Rob Walton put in. So for all of you that were really gung ho and like, oh, the NFL is going to change and they're going to get a minority owner, you're probably not going to see that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to be flat out honest. Everything's pointing to Rob Walton being the guy, but I do believe Todd Bowley and his group are going to be in the mix as well. They have a wealth of experience. They have many investors with a whole lot of money, just like what he did when he went in and bought 20% of the Dodgers with Magic Johnson and the rest of them. So he obviously knows what he's doing when it comes to getting a deal done and running a franchise. And he's a minority owner of the Dodgers. So he would not have to sell his stakes in the Dodgers because he doesn't really have an active voice. So he'd be able to keep that and just move in and take over with the Broncos. Because all signs are pointing to him being the guy in his group. He's got other billionaires, but he's the guy. He would be the face of the front office. So it's really down to two rich white guys, as we all kind of really expected to happen. We all had our hopes, we all had our dreams, but more than likely it's going to be one of those guys. Out of these five guys, I know I've talked a lot, so I want to let my guy Dylan get in here. What do you think of these finalists? What do you see happening, Dylan?
I mean, I like them all, right? And they all have experience in this type of thing. Well, most of them do. I wouldn't say, Walmart. There was that Rob Walton.
Rob Walton? Yes, he is the
Rob
son.
Walton,
He is
okay,
the
yeah.
oldest son of Sam Walton.
Oldest, okay, yep.
Walmart.
And then, and obviously Rob Walton is definitely the favorite, I would say. I feel like he's going to be the one that comes away with it, that runs away with it. I mean, just look at the money. He's already thrown down $4.5 billion like it's nothing. Just threw his checkbook on the table.
Right.
Yeah. It said, take it out. Whatever it costs. Just right there.
Blank check. Here you go.
Right. Fill it yourself. I don't give a shit.
Right. Exactly. Like whoever puts in the most, knock it up a couple $100 million.
Right.
That's insane to think that that's what these men are
That's doing. Like $45 to them. Like.
Right. Yeah. It's like us going and buying some Starbucks. He's like talking about hundreds of billions of dollars.
Even then, I mean, sometimes Starbucks is kind of expensive. Kind of roll up and be like,
yeah, the amount of money that is being handled in this situation is mind-boggling. Like you really can't wrap your head around the amount of money and just stupidity that's going to happen. And honestly, I mean, this might be a little dark to say, but we're probably going to be reading the obituary of the Bolin boy here in probably I'd say maybe a year. I'd give him a year before he just goes stupid and does something, because he's going to have all this money. Because this is why the first marriage kids wanted the team sold. If it stayed with Brittany, they would still get a small chunk of the revenue, but the amount of money that they are going to get out of this deal is insane. They're already rich beyond our wildest dreams. And now you're going to be adding potentially billions of dollars to this, to their coffers. Like, the man doesn't know how to act with the money he has now. Make him
Bro, I
richer,
wouldn't even know what to do if you
Bro.
just threw $100,000 right in my face.
right? I'd go nuts. I'd be like 100 G's, and then these guys are
Do I
talking
save
about
this? Do I
hundreds of
spend it?
millions. Right? Like, what do I do with it? I don't know.
Do I get a new car? Do I buy a house? Or $100,000 is not going to fly nowadays, but still.
No,
Find
it's
something.
not. It is not going far at all, especially with the housing market the way it is. Yeah. Trying to move. That's why I know all about the housing market, unfortunately. Trying to find a freaking house. You know how possible it is to find a 3-bedroom under $2,000 in the state of Colorado is?
A lot. It's hard.
It is insane, dude. I've been trying for 3 months. I found one, and it was at $1,800.
Oof.
And I'm going dark again. Gosh darn
I thought your power
I don't
just
like
went
this life. I know it's not my power. It's just they changed the switch here.
Dude, that's the worst. So at the high school,
now,
they put those. They put those in the bathroom.
Timeout ones.
And I remember you go even if you're going in, just use the urinal. Like, even if you're going in, just use urinal for a few.
I had to do this twice with Callie on Thursday. I feel bad. All y'all happen to see me stand up, and now I got to get resituated, and I got wires hanging out everywhere. See,
when they put those in at our school,
Callie's idea. I need a pokey stick.
Oh God, yeah. When they put those in the school, dude, it was hilarious because they put them in the bathroom too. Right. So even if you went in there for 2 minutes, just use urinal or hang out, it would shut off on you, and you go
trying to drop a deuce, and all of a sudden, Freddie.
And then it's even more awkward if someone walks in and the lights off, and you're in there.
Oh God, yeah. I'm sure they're like, "What are you doing?"
And they're like, "How long are you taking?"
Right. Bro, I swear I was just dropping a deuce, 5 minutes, nothing else.
I might be into some weird stuff, but that ain't it. No, could you imagine?
Right, exactly. Definitely not in a public bathroom. Blech. I never understood that. I never understood how people can. Nah, we're not going to get into that too far, but yeah. Can't touch
only if I'm desperate enough.
Right. He says only if I'm desperate.
Only if I'm desperate enough. I've been there.
This is the beauty of being married. But,
I need to go to the bathroom, or can I wait another hour in the car?
Yeah, so it looks like we both kind of hope for maybe a Byron Allen, but we're coming to the realization it's going to be a Rob Walton.
And I wouldn't be too disappointed if it is a Rob Walton, just because. No. I mean, look at the new owners in recent memories, how eager they are.
Yes,
exactly. And that's what I would be excited for. And even though he's a businessman, I would be excited to have a team.
The thing with Rob Walton is we will get a new stadium. And more than likely, Denver will get a domed stadium because he's going to want a Super Bowl.
Super Bowl, baby!
Yes, and the NFL has already said the only way that they will put a Super Bowl in Denver is if Denver puts a dome on their stadium. They said that way back when Pat Bowlen was still in control of the team.
I would love a dome stadium, but the atmosphere and the cold is just so perfect.
It really is.
I prefer going to Broncos games when it is very cold and it hurts. Those are the best times to go.
Yeah, I mean, in football, it is the best for cold weather because it's conducive to get up, move, and think about going to a football game when it's hot. It is miserable.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people, so much body heat. It's like 20, 30 degrees hotter in the stadium than it is outside of the stadium. So, and in the beginning of the year, it's absolutely miserable at Mile High Stadium when you're stuck in the stands.
I mean, there is just no shade on parts of that stadium.
Yes, there's
been there plenty of times.
Yeah, unless you're lucky enough to be up underneath one of the levels, you're not getting shade.
Oh, dude, we're always sitting third section because those are the best seats. I don't care what anybody says.
Right.
We're all the way up top, man.
He says we're going all the way up.
It's always all the way up top, 50-yard line. Perfect. See everything.
That's good. Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, that's a perfect perch. It's a beautiful perch, and with the Broncos Stadium, it's big, but it's not so big like Jerry World. That when you're up in the nosebleeds, it does. It's you still feel as you're part of the game in Mile High. It's still cozy enough that even when you're all the way at the top, it doesn't feel
It's
like
also
you're in a
it's also
movie
how it was
stratosphere.
built.
Yes.
So where would you put the new stadium? Out by the airport?
It would have to be out by DIA. That's really the only place that has enough land left, especially if they want to create something like the Dallas Star or
A
the Craft
Foxborough?
World, yeah, in
Yeah.
Foxborough. If they want to create something like that, kind of like what Montfort's doing in
Let's get some
downtown
Walton
by
land.
Coors Field, yeah. So it had to be something like that. I don't see anywhere else that would be close enough to Denver
You
and
wouldn't put it
still.
out. I don't think you'd put it right outside Brighton, that area. I don't
No,
think it's
that's
big
a
enough.
crappy area. There's not enough. There's not enough there. Like,
Yeah.
they would definitely, if they went out somewhere like that, they would have to build a giant complex. They would have to create a place because I mean, there's like in Brighton, it's nothing but fast food, Applebee's. There's not very many hotels,
Yeah.
and the ones that are
What if you
there are
just
very
throw?
small.
What if you just pull what they did when they built Empower Field back when it was first built? What if you just put where the old parking lot was? You build the dome, tear down the old stadium, put parking there like last time.
Right. I mean, there's that possibility, but where it's at, I
Yeah.
live literally across the
Oh yeah.
street.
I can see
There's
it.
no room to expand.
No. You'd have to
There's
tear the
none.
stadium down if you wanted to even build there again.
Yes. And there's no space there to expand. They would have to buy out all the other businesses, but those businesses aren't going to want to sell because of how much money they make when the Broncos play. So there's a it's right for those of you that don't know, um, Empower Field is right next to Federal Boulevard. It's one
I
of
mean,
the main streets.
all three of the major stadiums are right next to each other.
Yes, yeah, they're right in the same area. Um, there's Colfax going one way across Empower Field. There's Federal Boulevard, and Federal Boulevard, it's just lined with little mom and pop shops, restaurants, all that stuff right there next to the stadium, and those people make bank when it comes
And those are the
to
best shops
football
too.
Sundays. They are
I
great,
stopped
man.
at
I
so
mean,
many of those.
oh yeah, they got great. There's great eats. I mean, it's all local people that own the stuff. I mean, outside of like the Family Dollar and stuff like that. Obviously, it's
Yeah.
not locally owned, but everything else is locally owned. And I mean, it really kind of gives you a sense of the culture of Denver, um, and taking that away and sterilizing it with a corporate sprawling, real estate complex and shopping complex really I would feel would really kind of destroy that area. So I don't see those people being willing. I mean, outside of them forcing them to give it up, which in this case they can't do because it's a private company, not the government. They really can't force them to sell. So if they're going to want to do it the way that they want to and not have to buy up a bunch of businesses overpriced, they're going to have to go out to like DIA or something like that that's just got a bunch of open prairie land
And
for
there's
sale.
also what's that? The Gaylord, right out there. That
Yeah.
big hotel would be a
Yep.
perfect
And
spot
that's
out
another thing
there.
is
Yeah,
all the big hotels that aren't in Denver are at DIA. And it
dude,
would
that
be
Gaylord
easier for
is
teams.
amazing.
Yeah. Yes, it really is. And they would build more like that, in a complex like that because they got to have a place for the other teams to stay, and they got to have a
Fans.
place that the NFL is going to want to have the Super Bowl at. Honestly, right now, having the Super Bowl where Empower Field is really would suck. There's nowhere for
Oh,
them to
it,
set up
and it's
outside of the
also
parking lot.
just it's kind of awful to get to games some days depending which way you take.
Oh
And
my
for me,
goodness.
we always took the light rail. We always took the train
Right.
and right outside the Pepsi Center in Elitch's and walk under I-25 over to the stadium.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, that's honestly the best way because if you're trying to get into the parking lot of Empower Field, oh my
You are a
goodness, y'all.
special type of
I will tell
sadistic
y'all what.
bastard if you want to do
Yes.
that.
Next year, first home game, as I am coming to the studio, because it's normally what happens on Sundays. I come to the studio right before the games. and then watch the games here in the studio. I will take a picture of Colfax and then a picture of I-25 to show y'all just how redonkulous that traffic is trying to get in. It literally, just the traffic to get into Empower Field will back up I-25 for miles.
I mean, I had a rule right off 30th and Park. It always got busy too because people would be getting off there, getting on to go to the games, and it was a rule every Sunday there was a home game. I'm not leaving.
Right?
I'm not leaving, dude. I'm ordering food.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what I have. If I need to go to the store, wait till tomorrow.
Right. When I say I leave to the office right before I'm talking about a couple of hours before the game, and it's already backed up.
Everybody's a diehard.
Yes, they are, and they wait in that traffic to get there. Like, it doesn't seem like anybody wants to leave early to alleviate some of the. Everybody wants to be there about an hour before the game, and they line up for miles to get there. It's just insane to watch. No other sport does that. I mean, there gets to be some traffic during Rockies games, Avs games, Nuggets games, but the traffic still moves. There's a lot of traffic on the road, but it still moves. Broncos, they stop traffic.
We went to a game. It was the year they won Super Bowl 50. We went to the unfortunate game where they lost to the Raiders at home in like week 16, 15, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It was sometime, I just remember because it was sometime right before Christmas break. Brock Osweiler throws like 3 interceptions. That game gets sacked 5 times by Khalil Mack.
Yeah,
it wasn't fun. It was still a close game, but was not fun. We left. We got an I-25. I don't know, about 6:30. We didn't even hit the 76 exit until about 7.
Wow.
Hour and a half to go about 8 miles.
Yeah, I was going to say about 6 to 8 miles is all that is. For y'all that don't know, that's insane. That's like, what, 5 exits maybe?
Yeah, 5 to 6.
Yeah, it's like 5 to 6 exits from there to there, an hour and a half. That gives you an idea of just how ridiculous that traffic is. Both,
and then
the game
after that, another 2.5 hours in Northeast.
Yes,
we got home at 9:30 that night.
Yeah, because he lives out in the boonies up in the Northeast.
Yee.
Colorado, where I grew up. Well,
we're basically in Nebraska.
Where my father was. Right. It's what, 20 minutes to the border?
Not even. It's like
it's
9 miles, 10 miles.
Yeah, 10 miles. It's right on the border.
So. If I don't go to my brother's county road, it takes about another 3 minutes to get to the state line.
Right, most definitely. So, real quick, why Broncos country should still tune in Thursday night, despite the fact the Broncos don't have a first round.
It's the draft. Why wouldn't you? First off,
number one,
call yourself a
Dylan
fan.
Got it right. You call yourself a football fan. You don't know what being a football.
I'm still
fan
watching.
Like.
Well, we'll see. Yeah. Depending, we'll see if we'll be able to watch Thursday. Right. I should be though. I'll let you know.
Most definitely, yes, and we will be here, right here in the studios for the entire draft, not just the first round. We'll be there for the entire draft. So there's reason number 2. Number 1, you got to be a football fan and watch the draft. Number 2, Tay 42 is going to be here for you, baby. Breaking Broncos, me, and hopefully Dylan. We'll figure that out, but we're
not sure yet. I might be able to make one of the nights.
Right, and even if you can just drop in for a few, that's all we ask. So there's reason number 2. Number 3, wheeling and dealing George Payton wants back in the first round.
Dude, that man does not, excuse my French, but that man does not give a F, dude.
No,
he does not care.
None. IDG.
That man went to a whole nother level than I thought that Rams GM could go to with F them picks.
Right.
To saying, I want those picks back.
I want them back.
What did I give you? He's like, how much did I give away? This much? All right. I want that shit back.
Right, now I got to
get
it back.
Double it.
Exactly. Exactly. So
got the gun to your back while he's doing it too.
Yeah, y'all definitely got to tune in because we got to see just what George Payton's going to do. And I have a feeling he is going to get back in, if not in the middle of the first round, but towards the end of the first round to snatch up somebody he is absolutely in love with.
I think, and we know there's going to be no leaks if he's going to. If he does it, there's going to be no leaks coming out.
None.
And if there is, it's going to be right as it's happening.
Right. Yeah.
And that's
seems
the
to
bright
me.
side about this Broncos team. There have been no leaks of what anything has happened this offseason.
Yep, every single insider has been wrong about just about everything. So make sure anything you hear coming out of these guys, you take with a grain of salt and don't get your hopes up.
I wonder if
Because
George Payton's just like sitting there. He's like, all right, go tell the insiders that we know
I'm
gives
telling you,
information away. We're getting A-Rod. We're getting A-Rod on this
yes,
date.
yes.
And then they give it away. And he's like, all right, let's go get Russ.
No, I honestly, I mean, I know you're saying that jokingly,
But it's
but I'm
probably
saying
true.
it seriously.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm saying it seriously. It seems like the only thing that gets out of Dove Valley is lies. And I've told y'all a million times, this is lying season. Every front office is lying through their teeth. I mean, just look at last year where everything out of Dove Valley was, oh, Peyton's going Justin Fields. Peyton doesn't like Pat Surtain. They've never even met Pat Surtain. They didn't bring him in for a visit. They didn't do this. They didn't do that. And
You
guess
didn't
what
really
happened on
need to.
draft
You
night?
saw everything in that man just from tape.
Exactly. And that's what Peyton said. He's like, we didn't need to bring him in. If we brought him in, that would have tipped y'all off. And then somebody else above us might have thought, oh, wait, they really like him. We need to jump in front of them.
A lot of people still don't think he was that Pat Surtain was his pick from the beginning, and it definitely was. You watch that behind the Broncos, that's who they talk about all the time, but over anybody else. And I was just, I remember during that draft, I was just sitting there. I'm like, just don't take Fields. God, anybody but Fields.
God, yes.
And then the sigh of relief when they said Pat Surtain. I was
I lost my shiz. I was so happy because I had said the entire offseason that Pat Surtain was the pick. Everybody told me I was stupid. Everybody told me I was crazy. But you want to know why I went with Pat Surtain? Because I'm doing what I'm telling y'all to do now. Whatever the insiders tell you, ignore. Look at who is the best player available at their slot. That is who George Payton is taking.
There were two people
just to fill a need.
I wanted them to take. Surtain was one. God damn it, two was Micah Parsons. Then I really wanted them to get him.
Yes, those were my two guys.
I really wanted Micah Parsons so bad, but I love Surtain. So
yeah, but I mean, they found a Micah Parsons light in Baron Browning,
and I mean, and both teams got exactly what they needed at the end of that.
And you never get the best corner in a draft at number 9. That just doesn't happen. Like, look at Denzel Ward. I mean, the list goes on of top cornerbacks that go top 5. But because of the quarterbacks that went in the first round and some other things, Surtain was able to drop and Peyton jumped because generational
Who would have thought Trey Lance would have went that high?
This guy,
no. Mac Jones would have dropped so low. That's what I got them both mixed up. Mac Jones would have dropped so low.
Yes, that was a little bit of a surprise, but I also had Mac Jones going to the Patriots because he just made too much sense, and I figured his lack of arm strength would let him drop a little bit. I thought
he was launching balls this year,
right? But you seen when it was good weather, when it got nasty outside, all of a sudden the Patriots became
that Bills game
first team
when he was just when he was wearing and he went 2 for 1 for like 12 yards.
Yep, and it barely made it to the guy.
And he was wearing what was it, a wetsuit under his uniform the entire game?
Yes.
For warmth.
Yeah, for warmth. Yeah, that was kind of epic. It's actually kind of ingenious.
If anything, the Bills need an indoor stadium.
Oh my goodness! If anybody needs one, it's them. Just simply because of, I mean, I get the fact that they're wanting to be the outside warriors. We're the most northern team in the league. We're the coldest team, but we still play outside, and it definitely gets into the heads of opponents when they get up into that weather. But if you're a guy like Bill Belichick that knows how to just adjust to anything, then it doesn't really matter.
That man's had your number for how many years now?
Exactly. Just put a dome on it already.
Yeah, and all I'm gonna say is, sure, they have the cold, right? But are they playing in the cold and a mile above sea level? That's what I thought.
Exactly. That's all.
Dude, when it gets What was that one? I went to that Browns game, Baker's rookie year.
Mm-hmm.
They lost that one too. Damn it! I remember that one because that was Case Keenum.
You just ain't had no luck. That's like me going to Rockies games. They always seem to lose when I go.
Dude, every time I go to, they almost win every other Rockies game I go to. It's like I go to one, they win, they lose, they win, they lose. But I remember I was at that game and it was like 15 degrees out, felt like -4 with the wind.
Right.
I was like, dude, this is so intimidating. How I would not imagine coming from Cleveland for that.
Exactly. So real quick before we get into our mock draft, I think we'll probably have the same person for this, but I just want to see the greatest draft pick in Broncos history.
All right. Wait, okay, because I might have to leave after the first 15 picks if we knock them out quick.
Okay, no problem. But
with the reschedule,
real quick, who's your? While I get that set up, who's the greatest draft pick to you in Broncos history?
Okay, it's tough. Now, a lot of people forget that most of their best players weren't even their picks.
Right.
You know, you got Elway, Manning, Bailey, Russell Wilson now.
But we're talking who the Broncos actually took.
That one is tough. Terrell Davis. I'd go Terrell Davis out of that.
We got that. Like I've been debating
Steve Atwater.
Shannon. Yeah.
And Shannon.
Because they're both 6th-round picks.
They're both,
So it was
in two separate years, right? They were back-to-back years drafted?
Yes. Yeah. 95, 96.
Or was it 94, 95?
Or 90, yeah, 94, 95. There you go. But yeah, so I've been going back and forth, but just because, the fact that Terrell won MVPs and all of those things.
Super Bowl MVP, 2,000 yards.
Yeah, Super Bowl MVP, 2,000-yard season, exactly. I got to go with Terrell Davis as well.
I'm going to tie them at both at first, and I'll go with Shannon. I'll go with both of them. I mean, look at both their numbers. Shannon Sharp set all the numbers for a tight end to break.
Yes. A lot of people forget about that.
Yeah, and that's what I was so mad when they did the NFL 100 team, is that Rob Gronkowski, I know how great of a player he is, got in over Shannon Sharp, who set everything for tight ends like them.
Who made it possible for Rob Gronkowski to do what he did.
He was the first tight end to do that.
He was the original matchup nightmare. Definitely. All right,
I'll go Shannon.
Set up now. Let's go ahead and jump into these picks real quick and see how many we can get in with Dylan before he has to go.
Sorry. Well, I just looking at checking something. My cam's off.
Okay. All right. While he's doing that, I'm going to set up the parameters. Again, no trades. Can't really guess those. So we're just going to do our best with the order as it is. Plain and simple. So the predictive board has changed. All three pass rushers, are at the top, and Sauce is at 4, dropping Evan Neal and Ikem Ekwonu down to 5 and 6. So, again, here we have the Jacksonville Jaguars. They need everything, just like the Houston Texans.
And it's still Ekwonu to me. I mean, 3 straight weeks, it's going to be Ekwonu.
Yeah, there's been a lot of consternation between scouts and coaches. It seems like coaches love him, scouts hate him because he's kind of knock-kneed and skinny-legged and all these little draft or scout talk kind of things.
But I mean, when you look at those guys that come into the league like that, will develop and will just gain weight and muscle.
If the only thing that you have is that the kid doesn't have enough muscle, just get him in an NFL weight room with an NFL strength and conditioning coach, with an NFL dietitian. I promise you, they will gain the muscle. That's not a problem. So yes, Ikem Ekwonu, or Icky, as they like to call him, is staying at number 1. Again, with this one, I think we can pump through. Yeah, Aiden Hutchinson right here. Then with Houston, we switched this up a little bit. We gave them Sauce last week. Do we want to stay with Sauce?
I would stick with Sauce.
With Sauce? All right. So, yeah, again, best
because look, they have a pick at 13. There'll be edges available by 13.
Exactly. So let's go ahead and give him Sauce. He's the best guy on the board when it comes to cornerbacks. And like we said, those guys normally don't make it out of the top 5. So him at number 3 makes perfect sense. Then we have the Jets. I think we have to give Zach Wilson that protector still.
Give him
Evan
Neal.
Got to go there. Boom. Then we have the New York Giants. There is still Cross on the board or Thibodeau. Do we give him – because the drop-off after Cross is dramatic when it comes to the tackles. So
yeah, we give him protection.
Yeah, we'll give Gettleman one good pick, but we still have another pick.
I still don't think he will even use good for either of them, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
We'll try. We're trying to be nice here. So next,
I just feel bad for Giants fans.
Yes, me too. I think O-tackle can be off because we're not going to give him a guy that belongs in the 15 range at 6. They need a QB. This is probably the best place for Malik Willis.
And I think that's what we did last week.
Yes, we did. And you good with keeping that?
I'm good with keeping that.
All right. So
there is some talks that that Tomlin's wanting to move up and get the guy we've been talking about, Pick Kid.
Oh, yeah, Kenny Pickett. There is talks about that. I have heard that. But again, you never know in this time.
Yeah. All I'm saying, if it happens, we were the first to say it.
Exactly. So Malik Willis goes to Panthers. We have the Jets next. And there is still both Trayvon Walker and Kayvon Thibodeau. I think they have to go edge here if those two.
They go edge, and I would go Walker. I think they take Walker again.
Get the consensus number 1.
Most of these picks just don't change sometimes.
Yeah, for the most part. We're kind of at the end of it, so we got a pretty good idea of who's going where, but you never know what's going to happen on draft night. It gets crazy. So we're just doing our best here. Next is the Falcons.
We went with Stingley.
We did go with Stingley, but last week KT wasn't on the board.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, let's go KT.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think Kayvon Thibodeau to get that pass rushing gear for the Falcons works good there. Then next up we have the Seahawks. This is, I mean, I know we're not doing trades, but I'm just having a hard time believing that there's not at least 2 quarterbacks that go in the top 10.
Yeah, they're trading back for sure.
Yeah, and so I think somebody comes up and grabs Pickett. What about you?
Yeah, I do too. I feel like Pickett comes here, which, sorry, Steelers, you're going to have to deal with somebody later.
And it might be the Steelers that move up. Who knows?
Yeah.
So if they get word that he's going to be gone before the
and that's what has been in the talks is that they want to is that Tomlin wants to move up and get this guy.
Yeah.
And what a legendary move for their GM to take in his last draft coming up.
Right.
Because he's retiring right after it.
What a swan song, most definitely.
And what if he just screws over the Steelers for years to come and just dips right after?
Right. So we are going to say that is Kenny Pickett going there. We're not going to do a trade because honestly, I could even see Kenny Pickett ending up in Seattle out of those quarterbacks.
Battling between Drew Lock and what was I always forget what's their backup's name?
Is it they don't have Josh Johnson anymore. Geno Smith.
Geno Smith.
There you go.
That's who was Russ's backup last year. Yeah, it might be a 3-way quarterback battle, but it might honestly be a battle for backup if they just name a starter right at the beginning.
Exactly. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I don't see Kenny Pickett dropping out of the top 10. He's just, I mean, people make a big deal about his hand size, but his tape, especially from 2021, it's going to make somebody itchy and they're going to pull the trigger on a trade. So
I think we go.
That's where that is.
Here we would take Stingley because we usually because we did edge in recent weeks, but I still feel like they would take a corner if Stingley's still available.
Falls this fall, I agree. We'll go with Stingley there. Then here it has to be a wide receiver again. I think we got.
I still think we go Drake London. He's been the same pick for the past 3 weeks.
Yeah, so that's got to stay there. Then we have, and this is just makes too much sense if he falls. Kyle Hamilton and Harrison Smith
definitely
in that back end. Yeah. Insane. And Minnesota loves their first round defensive backs. Like if you go back and look at their past, I think it's 10 drafts, their first round pick out of those 10 drafts, 8 times was a defensive back. They love their first round defensive backs.
And this is where Johnson goes, I think.
Yeah, I agree. He's sitting there. You gotta have him on that team and bolster up that defense even more. Here again, do we stick with Jordan Davis?
Yeah,
Just this gut feeling in me says that Jordan has to go.
it has to be him.
Yeah. It's not their number one need, but he's just a freak, and that's what Baltimore does. They just build up that defensive line with freaks and let them cause havoc.
And I think we still stick with Jameson Williams here.
Jameson Williams here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think all reports I see him going to Philly, so I will agree
All right.
and keep
Now
him there.
I gotta head out.
All right, brother. We appreciate you. I'll go ahead and
Yes.
finish this up and get it posted. We will
I'll be in
see you
touch with
again
you.
next week. Most definitely, brother.
Deuces.
Dose. All right, y'all. You're stuck with me now. Sorry, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. All right. So next up, we have New Orleans. They are also needing a wide receiver replacement for Mike Thomas, who is still on the trade block. So we're going to go ahead and give them Garrett Wilson. I think he's the best wide receiver available at this point. So there's where he goes. Then you have I just almost did it. I almost called him San Diego. Los Angeles Chargers. I'm going to get over that someday, but y'all are going to have to deal with me until I do. Again, here, I just don't see how they let Olave pass by. They have some other needs. You know, they have Trevor Penning here. You like to keep your guy Herbert upright, but he's mobile enough. You can get away with the offensive tackles you have now and get some later potentially to go ahead and bolster that offensive line. So we're going to go ahead and stick with Chris Olave here. Next up again is the Philadelphia Eagles. They need a cornerback, edge, and interior O-line are their top three needs at this point. We have the best interior O-line. This is where the conundrum is going to come in. There's still a good corner. Trent McDuffie is available. You have Trevor Penning as the O-tackle still available. Zion Johnson, interior lineman, is still available. And just down here, you have George Karlaftis out of Purdue as an edge rusher. I think you take the positional value. You take the third best corner on the board. That's Trent McDuffie right there going. So they get a wide receiver and a cornerback to fill out their needs at the skill positions. Then you have the Saints coming back up as part of their trade with the Eagles earlier in the offseason. They still need an O-tackle, QB, safety, interior D-line, and tight end. A lot to go on here. Desmond Ridder seems like a good chance here. That would put 3 quarterbacks in the top 20, probably more than most people have. But Desmond Ridder's really kind of driving up the boards. But I think with the fact that they just gave Jameis Winston a contract extension, they're going to want to ride with him for at least one more year. And I think they're going to want to give him a little bit of protection. So let's go ahead and give them Trevor Penning. Saints really do like their first-round O-tackles as well, and offensive linemen in general. Essentially, their entire front 5 are first-round offensive linemen. So Trevor Penning to the Saints. Then you have the Steelers, who missed out on their preferred QB as of what is said now. It could be them that moves up, but we're going to stick them here. And I still think they take quarterback, and this time they're going to go with Desmond Ridder. Now we have pick 21, New England Patriots. Their number one need is linebacker, and this just makes too much sense. He seems to be just the prototype of what Bill Belichick loves in a linebacker. He should go higher than this because of his talent, but he seems to be dropping after a bit of a poor performance at the combine. But as we know, Belichick doesn't care about the combine. He cares about what you do on tape, and he takes Devin Lloyd 21st overall. Next up, Green Bay Packers. Again, this has to be the year that they break the cycle and take a first-round pick, and they're going to take Treylon Burks. They got plenty of speed. They need another big body replacement for Devontae Adams. Treylon Burks is the best option available, and that's where he goes. Next up, Arizona Cardinals would pick 23 overall. Their top 3 needs: cornerback, edge, and running back. I don't see a running back going in the first round this year. Just don't see the talent being there. So we're going to ignore running back, cornerback, edge, and wide receiver. What we have available: George Karlaftis, edge. That's who we went with last week. And then there's still Kaiir Elam, Andrew Booth Jr., Boye Mafe. I honestly, I think Boye is more of a 3-4. Yep, odd front. So me personally, I'm going with Boye Mafe here. I think they need to add to the pass rush after losing Jones and more due to age, free agency, and all of that. So this is where Boye Mafe goes, jumping ahead of George Karlaftis, who I don't believe stays on the board long, because these guys got to replace a edge rusher that is now in Denver and Randy Gregory. So George Karlaftis just makes too much sense to go here. Edge rusher over safety every time. I know y'all probably saw that there was still Daxton Hill there. We love Daxton Hill. He has plenty of athleticism, speed, thump, all of those things you want in a safety. But edge rusher is always more valuable than a safety. So that's why we're going George Karlaftis to Dallas. Number 25 overall, Buffalo Bills. Cornerback, major need right across from Tre'Davious White. We have Kyrie Elam, who's got some good length. And Andrew Booth Jr. is a little bit smaller but quicker. I think they go with the size. They like their big corners with speed. Kyrie Elam, right there to the Buffalo Bills. Next up, Tennessee Titans. Wide receiver, linebacker, OT. I think there's only one real wide receiver left here with a true first-round grade. And I think they have to snatch him up to pair with A.J. Brown. So we're going to go ahead and give them Jahan Dotson, which is a perfect counter to the size and speed specimen that A.J. Brown is, and gives them an absolute speed demon on the other side to take the top off of the defense, so that that way they can't just shell in A.J. Brown. They got to make sure that they cover the whole field. This is another one that just makes too much sense. Tyler Linderbaum, best O-lineman available, best center in the draft, goes to the Bucks. They can move him to guard if they need to, or move their current center to guard if they see him as a better fit. Next up, the second pick for the Green Bay Packers at number 28 overall. They need edge, O-tackle, and interior D-line. I really don't like any other offensive tackles at this point. And with the fact that they need an interior D lineman and Devontae Wyatt is still sitting here, they have to snatch him up at this point. So Packers take Devontae Wyatt at 28 overall. These are back-to-back picks for the hated rival Kansas City Chiefs. We're not going to play around games here. We're going to give them some real legit people because they do real legit things. Number one pick here has to be Daxton Hill, replacement of Tyrann Mathieu. Just don't see it being any other way. Then up next, they still really need a wide receiver to replace, unfortunately, Jahan Dotson. Well, fortunately for Denver fans, unfortunately for Kansas City fans, Jahan Dotson is not available. Next guy that I would sneak into the first round, and I think he will, even despite the fact that he's from a small school, all those things. I think this is where he sneaks in. I think that KC goes ahead and snatches up Sky Moore here. Then we have the Bengals at 31 overall. Cornerback, safety, interior O-line. I think they go ahead and keep protecting their franchise quarterback, and Zion Johnson is the best available offensive lineman. And honestly, I'd be surprised if he fell that far, but the way that we're working this board, that's how the cookie crumbles. Last up, Detroit Lions. QB, safety, wide receiver, linebacker. Again, just about everything is needed. And unlike previous weeks, I'm sorry, guys. You're just going to have to deal with me in the dark. We're almost done here. Is the fact that I think that got off the track here. Detroit Lions, unlike the previous weeks, I went with Dylan here, believing that they go ahead and match up the two edge rushers because David Ajabo is still there. I'm not so sure anymore. With the earlier run on quarterbacks, Sam Howell lasting again later, even two more picks might be a gamble that the Detroit Lions are not willing to take. So let's go ahead and give them Sam Howell here. And they can go ahead and snatch up whoever else they want in two more picks. So here it is for y'all. We will get this up on Twitter and get that to y'all here shortly. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up because obviously my lights don't want to cooperate with me. I'm sorry again to end this in the dark. Y'all have been epic. Please make sure you hit the like, subscribes, all those buttons. We need them. We love y'all, but we need those to keep doing this for y'all. That is the free way to keep us moving and giving you the content that you deserve. So make sure you hit the likes and subscribes. Everything's down in the description. Every single link that you could need is down in the description. Plain and simple. Just click on the links, click the follows. We are officially over 600 followers on Twitter. We are blowing up on Twitter. Keep them coming. We love y'all. We appreciate every single one of you, whether you're watching now or you're watching later. Every single view counts. So please tune in, hit the likes, hit the subscribes, and go ahead and follow all of our socials across every platform. Again, just go down in the description. All the links are there. You don't have to hunt or search. It's direct links, takes you to the profile. You just got to hit the little follow button, hit the bell so you get the notifications so you know every time that we're live. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. As always, I am your host, Dan Wetstein. My guy, Dylan Miles, that was here, is now gone. For the Answers 42 Media Network, Bird Gang Sports Media Network, don't question the blue.